Is he done this season?
I think he's been busy on other shows or something.
Yeah.
Honestly, he hasn't done one for a long time. I think.
It's like a prison days or around there sometime, Terminus or something. Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I think as we'll get into when we talk a little bit more about the episode, but I think Nick Cotero did a fantastic job with this episode for a variety of reasons, both on the action front and the prop front. I'll say. But overall, a pretty strong episode. I know, just looking even at IMDb, it's rated pretty high, and I think this was definitely one of the stronger episodes of the season. I mean, I've been pretty high on the show in general, but this one had some nice balance. I think it did a good job of kind of ramping things up and getting us ready for that final. I guess probably final 20 minutes of the show.
Yeah, like the final 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Give the people what they want. I mean, this is definitely why a lot of people watch The Walking Dead, for this type of intense action, somewhat gore, but mostly just really intense action and delivered on so many levels.
I do like that this episode. I like this episode overall. I think the last 20 minutes is really pretty spectacular. I think there's a lot of things early on that happen that are pretty interesting also. I do like that, like, showing your heroes doing something terrible means we need to go out of our way to make sure you know that they're still the heroes by like showing us things to make sure you know that what they're doing is quote unquote the right thing.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't just like do it once to make sure you know. It really goes over. It's like, don't worry, guys, it's cool, it's okay.
Yeah.
These guys are horrible people. Let's make sure you know that.
Yeah, and they get a couple scenes. I mean, we'll talk about it as the episode unrolls, but I mean, we can see a few hints even in this episode. But really, that little encounter with that, that Abraham, Sasha, and Daryl had with 5 of Negan's biker gang, we know that they're bad people. So we've seen that. We heard the Hilltop people say we know what these people are all about. But yeah, it's had some doubts there for a minute. You're right. If you didn't watch those, you're just tuning in right now. You think Rick's gang is really a bunch of villains at that point.
The show really wants you to present that as such. Like it's like, because that's honestly it's my only gripe. Where it's like the idea of showing Rick. Remember Nick, guys, on the other Walking Dead? That's my favorite. Nick Rhymes. He's a rapper. He's like the Walking Dead this season. Like if it didn't go out of its way to definitely show you how evil certain people are, there would be some interesting stuff to deal with as far as seeing Rick and Glenn and others deal with how they went about handling a certain situation. That the show could still double back on these kind of the ramifications of what happened in this episode.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
It's funny, given how this episode ends, it sure didn't start out that way. I mean, it's very like Susie Homemaker. I mean, the cold open is just all about Carol and how she's hunting for acorns, and she's trying to Carol's. It's so weird. She's so resourceful. We always she was a homemaker prior to the zombie outbreak, so she had some skills there, and then she kind of went through this phase of being a complete and total badass and just kind of abandoning all that. And now it's almost like in the few weeks that things have been relatively calm, she's trying to kind of come back into her own. It seems it's almost like, and I think when we get to the end of the episode, one of the things I thought of in contrast to the beginning is that maybe she has some regret that she's let her skills lapse. And I don't even know if that's even fair to say that they've lapsed, but it just seems like she's not in the thick of it, and she kind of uses Maggie as an excuse, but I almost think she's had a change of heart. Like, if this was Carol from last season or the beginning of the season, like, she'd be on the front lines, no question, shoulder to shoulder with Daryl. And it seems like, as a lot of these characters have changed with Alexandria, it seems like Carol is changing or wants to change as well. And so she kind of holds back, partially to protect Maggie, partially, I think, just because her heart's not in it.
I agree to a point. I do think that while I was really happy with kind of the time jump from a few weeks back, that kind of gets us past the results of the Great Zombie Massacre. I do think some of the elements that we could have seen before that time jump happened would have probably best served Carol and Morgan for that matter, as far as what really what happened there, as far as like her discovering Sam dying, her realizing what Morgan was doing, dealing more with the kind of direct aftermath of the wolf that she shot. Like just little things like that maybe could have fleshed out more of Carol before getting to this episode. I think it's a bit of a shortcut. It's not the worst thing in the world, but I do agree with the point of what you're saying about Carol's possible dialing down of her very ultimate badass persona for the sake of, hey, I can actually live this life again to a point while still being an ultimate badass.
Yeah.
I mean, if you remember back, she's had an interesting arc this entire season. She adopted the Susie Homemaker persona. Actually, I guess at the beginning of last season, when the end of last season, when they entered Alexandria. But I mean, she did it to kind of go undercover. She didn't want the Alexandrians to know what she was really capable of, and she did it kind of in pretend. And I don't know. Her real persona only came out when the wolves arrived. I mean, she really kept that hidden down, that she had these skills and she was a real tough warrior. Now that the wolves are gone, I guess she's reverting back to that homemaker type of persona. But maybe you guys are right. I didn't think of it this way. Maybe she really wants to be that again. Maybe she wants to return to some type of normalcy somewhere deep down in her. And the food is part of it. Baking for the community. She was giving out the cookies to a lot of different members of the community as just being warm and welcoming and trying to have some type of normalcy in this crazy world. I also think that, and I guess we'll talk more about this later, but that interaction with Morgan. Although it wasn't cold open, I guess we can talk about it now. I mean, I think Morgan may have rubbed off on her a little bit more than maybe even she'd like to admit, but she was counting her, until she had a few scenes ahead, and maybe his philosophy is rubbing off on her a little bit. That's what I kind of had in my brain.
That there's a part of it there, at least like a more of a consideration, I would say, for what his ultimate message is trying to be, which I think is reflected in when she talks to Rosita later on in the episode. But you mentioned the Susie Homemaker guys, and I think it's a couple things. Like, one is like I don't know if she really needs to hold on to that persona at this point, where I think enough people have kind of seen what she's capable of, where it just doesn't matter, if that makes any sense. Like, she in a fight, she doesn't need to pretend that she's useless, but when she's not in a fight, she may have that persona, but she might ultimately just prefer to have that persona. Like, not even a persona, but that's just her to begin with, where she's fully capable of defending herself, doing what she needs to do, or speaking like a Grim Reaper to small children.
Yeah.
But choosing to make cookies, like, I don't think that's an attempt to just kind of disguise herself. I think she just genuinely wants to make cookies. Like,
right.
She genuinely wants to use her skills as a homemaker because she prefers doing that.
Well, I thought it was a little more than that too, because we could see she's caring about her appearance more. I mean, she specifically picked that. It looked like a silk shirt, really nice shirt, and just the way she looks. I mean, her hair. She's kind of doing something with her hair, and when she goes out to hunt for the acorns and comes across that zombie and has to kill him, it splatters blood, and the look on her face. Not that she's not upset the fact that the blood splattered on her or that it she had to kill this thing. It was that it ruined this shirt, this really nice shirt, and they even make a point of it when she goes back that she has to pick out another shirt. It's like she's paying attention to fashion, because I mean, for so long we saw Carol wearing like ratty old tank tops, and I mean, granted, a lot of them just based on the fact that they were in the situations they
don't have other things.
Yeah, they were. Fashion wasn't a high concept thing, but even more so than the others. Like, she, even you look at like Maggie, or you look at even Rosita, like, they're wearing clothes that are more like functional and comfortable, and she purposely went out of her way to find something that looked nice. And a part of it, I guess, has to do with her perceived new love interest. I guess I would say that's where they're going with this.
With Tobin, she brings some special cookies to Tobin, calls him a jerk, but gives him cookies and tells him
any other more special than the other cookies she had to everybody else.
Yeah.
I think it more or less is just she recognizes an attraction there. It's like, screw it, why not?
Which is kind of interesting, because I mean, I was never fully into the whole Daryl and Carol thing. I always found it more of like a brother-sister thing than a romantic thing. I think she's finally feeling like she connects with somebody that can connect back with her. I think maybe she tried to connect with Daryl on that level, but she knows that Daryl's just not going to be that type of person that she wants to her. So.
I think it's a mix of things of like just kind of a respect in a relationship that can remain entirely platonic because we're just survivors and we can relate to for various reasons based off this zombie apocalypse we're experiencing. And not every male-female relationship on a TV show needs to result in some kind of romantic entanglement. Whereas Tobin, I think it goes with the same line of thinking as her trying to dress nice. I don't think it's necessarily a ruse on her part to try and like fool people into thinking she's a certain lady. I'm not saying you guys are, but I do think that it's a conscious effort to do something that feels very feminine.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm not about to speak. I'm not about to speak for what I perceive to be the feminine line of thinking. I don't know anything in that regard really, but it's from the best that I can understand based off a TV show with this female character. I think it's more of like I'd like to even just a character in general, obviously not even gender related necessarily. Just I like to look nice and hey, there's a person that has some kind of interest in me. I want to pursue this further because it's nice to do something that feels like you said early on normal for a change instead of loading up assault rifles and sneaking things around out of the armory or whatnot.
Firing rocket launchers at the terminus and slaughtering people and
Make no mistake, she was super hot when Daryl came in and like started firing off rockets. She was like, oh man, maybe I should have after that.
And Carol also leaves a cookie for Sam on his grave at that point. And I guess we realized that kid really got to her too. I mean, just as much as she had an impact on him, he had an impact on her in a certain way.
I mean, she did lose a child herself. I mean, so like the kind of giving off a certain level of advice and coming back to him. I mean, it wasn't like that was the only time they ever interacted. It's kind of it was a recurring kind of thing between the two of them every time they interacted with multiples, and then his inevitable death, along with just the nature of her character in general. I mean, it seems pretty reflective on just how much these kind of things do still get to her. I mean, we get later on in the episode of her kind of understanding how many kills she's kept track of and things like that. So I mean,
She has to get track record with kids. I mean, as much as she doesn't want to be. I mean, she lost Mika and Lizzie that really she adopted to a certain degree, and then now Sam, and of course her own child Sophia. So she's had a really rough time with kids and being a mom. And even Tobin has really talked about that with her on the porch a little bit. Well, you're a mom, that it was kind of they're being deliberate about that again, on the nose. Yeah.
Let's stick with this for a bit because I mean, there's other things that happen in this episode, but I mean, Carol is not even really a part of the main part of this episode. But like the episode starts right, but like the Abraham thing last week. Abraham I think was the lead of the episode, even though he wasn't really that connected to what the main plot was. Just happened to be around. But Carol, she's like Elizabeth Bride is terrific in this role, and she's terrific here as always. And she doesn't even like do much action. She kills like one zombie or whatever, and or two I guess later on. But like her purpose in this episode is not to be like one of the Rick and the gang murdering people inside of a room. It's to be on lookout. But like we still get a lot of time spent with her dealing with this Tobin guy, with Morgan, with Rosita. Like we get a lot of character work for Carol, and it's a real testament to how like well the show is done with her character. Where I talk at length about how much I haven't been satisfied with certain arcs of the series, and certain ones I have been very satisfied with. I'm a very big fan of this Alexandria arc. I look forward to seeing how it plays out. But with Carol, like that's among all the characters, this is a character I've never been dissatisfied with. There's some questionable things I thought about, like the prison when she burned those bodies and where that could have gone. But in general, like what Elizabeth Bride's been doing with this role and what they've given her, which I can't imagine was like what she signed up for to begin with. She probably thought she was going to die in the first season. I think she was going to die at some point, right? Like the second season, I think.
But she disappeared for a few episodes when they first got to the prison in season 3. So
they played the Glenn in the garbage can game with Carol.
Yeah.
But,
they didn't take her name out of the credits though. Let's be clear, okay?
They were new tricks in the season 6 that one. But I mean, seeing her here versus like thinking back to like beat up life, like it's a tremendous arc for this character that's
huge.
Played very compared to something like Rick, where like I'm at least on board with Darth Rick at this point right now, but like not everyone's always been on board with like how Rick. I mean, people right now are even not everybody's on board with how Rick is. I personally am, but I mean, Rick's gone back and forth a lot, which is probably the issue with being a lead character who has to be interesting. You have to write him all kinds of ways to try to make them happen. Where Carol, she's a side character where it's like, man, she's just great all the time. Like they give her so much to do that's evolved in such interesting ways that feel right for like her based off things that have happened to her.
Oh yeah.
I'll get off my Carol soapbox now.
No, it's good. Listen, she's given us a lot to talk about. So kudos to Melissa McBride and the writers because you're right. That character could have easily disappeared many seasons ago, but she's endured and become one of the fiercest warriors of the group, and we all seem to like her. So I guess it's testament to the great work.
Well, and to even take it further at the end of the episode when it's her and Maggie, she makes a point. We talked about the whole mother thing. She's angry at Maggie for putting herself in this position to be out there.
Yeah,
and again, I think it's a lot of her hangups with the fact that. She lost her own child, and like you were saying, too, Craig, with the other kids that she's kind of lost. I mean, indirectly, unbeknownst to her, she kind of led Sam to the events that caused his death. I mean, he freaked out because of what she said to him more so than anything else.
I don't know. I mean, do you think Sam was like, if she didn't talk to him, would he really have been prepared?
I don't know.
Like,
I mean, she kind of messed that kid up.
Messed him up pretty good. Yeah. But I mean, her voice was echoing in his head literally at the moment when he lost it, right? I mean, that was Sam.
But that's unbeknownst to her. I mean, she has no knowledge of that being the case. But again, just the fact that she's even wanting to go down the road, because I got the impression, like when the whole bit with Sam was, she doesn't want to deal with kids anymore, especially after what happened with Mika and the other girl, Lizzie. Thank you.
Lizzie.
I think she was like done with kids, like she just too much loss or whatever. And now again maybe it's this normalcy or whatever. She's kind of snapped back and she gets angry at Maggie for putting herself in there, even to the point where she says something to Rick about it. I mean, she's not even she's just not letting it go.
Yeah, because originally, I mean, Carol's supposed to be part of the assault group that Rick had, and she took herself out of it. She's one of the fiercest warriors, and she would have been right in that building with the rest of the people.
I have a question. Do you guys agree with Carol, or do you agree with Maggie as far as approaching this kind of a?
I don't agree with Carol. I think she's having some philosophical dilemma right now, and I don't think her head's in the right place. I think Maggie's was definitely clear on it. She goes, look, I struck the deal. I got to be there with these people, at least in a supportive role. I got to be right there with them. Carol's the one that kind of held her back, and well, ultimately we see what happens. It kind of got them into some trouble.
They're both wrong based on the episode.
Yeah,
the episode has it both.
I side with Carol. I don't think Maggie. I mean, given how fragile everyone is in this world, the fact that you're a pregnant woman, and given all the harshness of this world and lack of medical equipment and supplies and everything else, I think it was kind of a silly move. But I get her reasoning.
I know she's a warrior though. I mean, she's capable, and she's not really like. It's not physically affecting her yet, the pregnancy. I mean, yeah, the risk is there that she can get injured, and the baby, of course, ultimately can get injured. But she was still capable, I think, at this point.
She's got to be like close to 3 months along. I mean, if there's stuff showing up on ultrasound and everything else, I mean, stress isn't good for a baby. I mean, she may be able to handle it physically, but
I see what you're saying. Okay,
I lean more towards Carol just because who's left at Alexandria right now, given that all the heavy hitters seem to be on this stealth mission. Now, granted, you can't just assume Alexandria's going to get hit with high heavy force every time. But then again, we just had a great zombie massacre because of things that happened in the first part of the season. I mean, Carol's one of the leaders of the group. I mean, who's back at the camp right now? Eugene?
Tobin is again.
Eugene. the son of Deanna, who's like still burying his mom somewhere.
Spencer from Hire, he's back there.
Yeah,
the doc. He's right, and Aaron's boyfriend Eric is back there.
I guess not No Kill Morgan.
No Kill Morgan. Olivia, she watches the pantry, right? Yeah.
And as promised, Mr. Jim Dietz joins us. Thanks for hopping on.
No problem, guys. Hey, did you figure out why Dingleberries are brown yet?
We didn't get to that part yet.
That was a fantastic
Okay.
Abe line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just something I've always wondered. You know, I'm glad they addressed it.
And you guys, listeners, by the way, I knew Jim was coming on the whole time.
I'm glad you have faith in me.
Yeah. It's funny. That's pretty much like in our discussion where we're at. Is Abraham kind of has this. So I was a little confused with the whole Abraham thing. So did you guys take it to mean that Abraham was telling Rosita he's done with her, or he's done? Period. He's like leaving Alexandria.
No, it was done with her.
No,
Yeah,
it was done with her.
I must have. Like to me, he said I'm leaving, and I just thought he meant like part of his epiphany from the last episode was just that he's going to go on walkabout or something like that. But
I mean, in addition to the show, hammering home the like I have feelings for Sasha,
Sure.
based off of him saying I want to get to know you better than last week's episode. It was even his line is like, what was it? I found out you're not the last woman in the world. I mean, that's he's like there's some other woman in the world.
yeah, that's why I thought it was weird because he's saying he's leaving, and then he specifically says it to her. Which man, talk about cold. That's some cold.
Oh, yeah,
that's cold-blooded.
he's a real
That's
pork
what I was
about it,
going to
that's
say.
for sure.
That's the point. That's the really big takeaway for me is how cold-heartedly he did it.
And it's
I mean, he did it in just a very abrupt way, and I guess he just wanted to rip the Band-Aid off, so to speak, and just not draw this out, not just say, look, it's done, it's over, I'm out, see you later. I mean, he could have been more tender about it, but then again, that's not his way.
Yeah, it was either this or we get like some really awkward talk about like how I used to pour my Bisquick over here. Well, it looks like I found a new grill to put my grills on. Like I don't know.
I'm switching from Waffle House to IHOP, baby.
Actually, like, I don't know how many more breakfast metaphors he has. But, sometimes a guy doesn't want to eat waffles and pancakes every day. Sometimes he wants an omelet.
Just cutting back and forth to Rosita, just staring like, what the hell is he talking about?
Is he hungry? Is he hungry? What's going on? I don't get it.
So can we talk about this as men for a second? Obviously, Rosita is the hottest one in town, right? In Alexandria. She pretty much is. I mean, and he's leaving her for Sasha, who's also very attractive in her own way, don't get me wrong. But most people are going like, why? What are you doing? I mean, maybe that's purpose. Maybe they did that again purposely to make people scream at him and saying, what the hell are you doing? It's like trading up.
I'm waiting for Judith to grow up and I can form a proper decision on all this. I don't know.
She may be the hottest one in camp.
I think it's a tough choice because I mean I don't know that I agree with you necessarily. Just even on the look side of things, but Sasha is more like well-rounded as a person. Like she has some personality, and she's I don't know how to describe it. Rosita just seems a little one note to me.
I mean, honestly, to the show's detriment, we don't know enough about Rosita.
Well, that's true. Yeah,
Sasha,
yeah.
and it feels more of a. If we only know the show's universe as it's described to us, then yes, Sasha makes sense. We don't know why he's with Rosita beyond his basic just blanket statement of "I thought you're the last one on Earth." There could be some more that led to them being together or whatnot based on her backstory that we just don't know yet. But I feel like the show's being a little disingenuous right now just by only giving us one side of things and not really giving us much beyond. Like Rosita seems like a cool chick. Like we don't have anything else to really root for the relationship, even though it's still cold regardless of how Abraham handles the scenario.
My heart belongs to Carol. So.
and her beet and acorn cookies, right, Jim? I mean, is that the...
Dude, that's a way to a man's heart to his stomach, as I always say.
I still say you should come out with the cookbook, Jim, the Walking Dead cookbook, all right? We got a lot of recipes now building up in this thing.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
and then of course Eugene hearing it was just like that was like
Oh
the
my
most
God,
wonderfully
it's
awkward moment ever.
Yeah, it's like, have you tasted these cookies? kind of chewy and the beets real big. Like he just closes the door.
Yeah.
Did you see his shirt? Did you see that? Virginia's for lovers?
Yes. Oh my, everything about it. Like Abraham just delivered, like in the midst of being a cold-hearted porch he just delivered this amazing line about dingleberries. And then Eugene's like, I have comedy chops to top you on this one, and just goes.
Just stand there with a mullet eating a beet cookie and saying, Virginia's for lovers. It's perfect. It's great.
Can we back up to the church meeting that happens? Like,
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
church
church
meeting.
Yeah.
To me, this shows it was interesting because Rick is like, okay, this is what we have to do, and kind of the inner circle agrees that that's what they need to do. But I thought it was interesting that he took it to the group and said, I don't know, man, just like the way that Rick came off during that sequence really resonated with me. Like the fact that he was like, look, this is what we've got to do. This is why we've got to do it. We know, if we don't face him now, we're gonna face him down the road. It's happened to us before. It's gonna happen to us again. And he said, but I'm willing to hear from everybody. Let's if you got something to say it.
I felt that.
Contrast. Real quick. Contrast that with when they were going to attack the hospital, and Rick is like, "We're going to go here, kill this guy here, kill this guy here, kill this guy here," and Tyrese is like, "We don't have to kill all these people. There's nobody that stands up like that when this goes down." Rick is like, "We're going to have to kill these people. This is how we're going to do it." Not one person is like,
Well, Morgan, besides Morgan standing up.
Well,
Yeah.
but other than Morgan, I mean,
Right.
I just contrasted those scenes from then to now. I mean, it's changed so much. At least there was like a patina of humanity before. Hey, we don't have to kill all these people. Whereas now it's like everybody's gonna be dead.
I think Rick is in his best place right now as a leader. Like, he has gone from one extreme to the other. He's gone from complete pacifist in season 2, where he didn't want to kill anybody. Then we've seen him as his worst, with a long beard, coming out of Terminus, and that was his worst part. Now I think he's in the best mental state I think he's ever been in.
I think
and he's talking like a leader.
Certainly that applies to his when he's with his people. And now that he considers Alexandria his people, it makes it a lot easier for him to make giant plans with a bunch of people around him. As opposed to even like the beginning of the season where any red shirt that questions him, any red shirt that questions him is killed by the end of the first 20 minutes of the episode. But
What's anything Rick would want to do? It had to be run by Deanna and the Gang of Four or whatever.
yeah, the what's the Green Lantern thing?
the Council of Oa.
The Council of Oa, yes, thank you.
The Guardians of the Universe.
the big brain guys, those guys. But yeah, what was I going to say? Oh, but with Russ, what you were saying, wasn't it?
I'm sorry.
No, with Rick being responsive to other people's thoughts on these things, I felt that resonated even more so when Morgan did present his thing, and when Rick didn't just like shoot Morgan down, much like he could have done in the past. He says Morgan's got a problem with this. Like if anyone had anything to say, he would have heard them out, and he obviously listened to Morgan. And if anyone would have backed Morgan, he probably would have listened to how that would have gone too. It wouldn't necessarily have made a change or anything, but it seems like yes, I agree. He is more receptive to counter ideas that could possibly be better in this scenario. While I personally would want more than just like one group of people says this group of people is bad, regardless of how dangerous that motorcycle group seemed to be. I can see where Rick's going on this, and you can see in the show's logic, I can see why the necessary choices he makes are the ones that are necessary.
It has to happen. He said it. He goes, this is how we survive. There's no way around it. Our food will be gone in a month, and then by that time we'll be weak, and this group's going to come knocking on our door. They're going to find us eventually. We'll be in the worst possible place. They're going to kill one of us, kill many of us. He's really rationing this thing out, and he knows from experience now, if you don't go after groups like this, they will come for you. So he's
based entirely, there's experience, but it's also based entirely on the word of another group, which I do think is room.
Well, sort of, but also the fact that Daryl and crew met these guys and they wanted to take all of their stuff. I mean, there was no and then we're going to kill them.
Dude, if I'm going to play devil's advocate on that, we didn't actually see them do anything besides act intimidating. Yes,
Well, they were about to shoot Abraham.
They see this. I mean, that guy was going back and forth the whole time. I don't know. Maybe he was kidding once again.
True.
they got blown up by an RPG before I really tried to see what was going to pan out.
But the intent was for that. I mean, it's like anything else, right? You take disparate information and make a decision based on it. So it's like, okay, he's got Daryl and Sasha and Abraham's firsthand account of these guys, a huge gang of them that threatened to basically take all their stuff. And the way that they presented it was, what's yours is Negan's. Like, they made it very clear that they don't own anything, that Negan, whatever they have is Negan's. And then you have this other group that's saying independently the same thing, and it has been that way. I think you put those two together, and it's like, okay, this is what we're basing our information on. And we've seen groups, and we've dealt with people that have, been like this before, and this is, it never ends well, and it always ends up going downhill. But just
i.e. the governor, the claimers. I mean, we can name any number of groups that have been like this, Marauders, if you will.
I completely agree. I'm really just arguing for the sake of arguing.
Sure.
But
No,
especially because the show has made it so clear of how it conducts its business, where obviously whatever group they're going to encounter is a bad group.
Sure.
The show's not complicated enough in that way where it's going to provide some sense of doubt for Rick and what he's doing. Rick's the hero, so we're always going to make him do hero things.
Sure.
Regardless.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. But I just liked his delivery. I liked that I think he's instilling confidence in the people that aren't just, because I think even, like when they first got to Alexandria, there are people like Daryl and, obviously Carol and some of the others that weren't on board with Rick. It's like, yeah, he's gotten them as far as they are, and they have reason to believe him, but he was just so bent out of shape and out of whack with, Alexandria, and for him to kind of come back to this point and be willing, and it wasn't just a appeasement. He wasn't patronizing everybody. I mean, he literally would have listened to, if somebody else had a legitimate way that they could work around this without, that didn't mean let's storm the castle and kill everybody. I think he genuinely would have given it a thought. Where like we're saying is before, he would have just been like, nope, it's my way or the highway. This is the dictatorship. And I like if this is the way we're going. I like it now. Given how things turn out, it may all blow back on him, but at least for now, I really like the way that they're writing him.
I like how Aaron stood up and supported Rick as well, and he's, I guess, the spokesperson of the pre-Rick Alexandria, if you will. And
well, he's
like, look, we're with you.
He feels bad about the wolves though, because his diary or whatever got caught, and that's how they knew what to do. I mean,
plus he sees what happens to all the other Alexandrians that go up against Rick. He's going to become red shirts.
Yeah. He doesn't have enough impressions to save himself from a zombie attack.
No, he doesn't.
At this point, we see Carol's note. I took a screenshot of it. I was trying to read it. I mean, her diary, I should say, that she was writing to herself, and I couldn't piece together all of it. There was one line in there. I got most of it. It said R, K, D, L for Lizzie, I guess.
The initials of all the people she's killed.
Right, but there was one line that said Candle Women. I'm like, what is a Candle Women? Did we miss something? Did she have an adventure somewhere before Alexandria that we didn't know about? Or I didn't really understand that one, but she killed a few people, and then of course she put W's. She killed 7 W's.
Because R was for Ryan. That was Lizzie and Nika's dad.
Okay. Is that what R said?
Yeah. K and D were for Karen and David. She killed at the prison.
Right.
And L was for Lizzie.
Okay.
Second kiddo. Those are the only ones I could figure out.
And then Terminus people, obviously, the ones she took out, and then
the W's, yeah.
The W's, that Candle Woman, I didn't know exactly what that was. Maybe it's a reference to something else.
Candle Woman in Terminus. There's a whole room full of candles.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you lumped. Oh, that makes sense. What was her name?
Yard.
Wasn't it? Yeah. Denise Crosby.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, right. Okay, that makes sense. Perfect. Thank you.
So the 18 was the total. Is that what it was? The 18. That's how many people she.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 7 W's and the rest of the ones we just listed. So 18. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone that's wrong on that can reset their Carol counters now.
And I guess that was the point of the episode, right? Was people that had actually killed another human being and people that haven't, or and not even just like cold-bloodedly killed somebody, kind of firing off at somebody in the distance, like when everybody stormed the prison, that's a little different, but actually walking up to somebody with the intention of murdering them, I guess that was a little foreshadowing to what we'll see with Glenn, with Heath, with some of the others.
It's largely what I'm enjoying about this part of the season in general, where we've gotten more and more away from zombies being a real threat, and more back into. I mean, obviously the show's always kind of gone in and out of this, but really focusing on the cost of life when it comes to humans that aren't turned into walkers in this new world. I mean, I'm enjoying seeing where that's going to play out, especially because we're coming up to what I assume are certain things that are going to change the ways we react to things. To say things lightly about this Negan presence that we don't know too much about as of yet. It's neat to see the show kind of slowly back. Now that we've had this giant, it's almost like they got the quota of walkers out of the way in the first couple episodes, just so we can kind of settle down with the walker kills and focus more on real human threat and what it means for these characters to have to kind of execute certain situations that might leave them feeling uncomfortable in some way.
Yeah. And I like how Rick even asks Father Gabriel. He's like, "Why are he shows up? He's got his rifle and he's still wearing the collar. And he's like, "Why do you even still wear that thing?" And they kind of joke about it. And he even says, "Well, we're going in at night, so it'll be harder for them to see me."
At the rate that these two are going as far as their relationships, we're going to get like a second spin-off that'll have Rick and Father Gabriel doing like a buddy cop. They've gone from antagonistic to like we can just chum around about these things now.
It's Rick and the Rev.
Yeah, Rick and the Rev. There we go.
Turn it up in the apocalypse.
I was reading something.
And look, they found an orangutan.
Coming to a town near you.
Any which way the crimes.
Nice. I guess they're talking to Seth Gilliam and asking him about that. And I guess he takes it as Rick and Carl were training him. During the the period. The time
jump. One of the time jumps. I guess.
He says he kind of takes it as like he's like a warrior priest now. Like he's some kind of shotgun preacher or whatever you want to call it.
In 7 years, when the show is still inevitably on, he'll have the same arc as Carol in this rate. He'll be everyone's favorite character.
He'll just use the Bible verse every episode when he kills somebody, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He'll be the
trouble Samuel Jackson moment when he's like, let your heart not be troubled.
Great.
He'll be the Black Charles Bronson of Walking Dead. For you listeners, Charles Bronson was a star back in the 70s and 80s. He used to make movies called Death Wish and very Death Wish.
Yeah. There was a moment also between Carol and Rosita, right at that same point where they exited the RV, and we also didn't spend too much on this, but we find out after Morgan talks to Carol as well that Carol didn't reveal to Rick and the leadership or Rick and the gang that Morgan harbored the wolf and saved this guy, and Rosita says, I was ready to tell everybody right there in the church, and she goes, hey, take it easy, just don't do it, just relax.
Yeah, it's again, we've talked about Carol playing so far, but I mean, it is a good emphasis on Carol's kind of shifting mind frame, perhaps. I mean, which is actually, it's fun, it counterbalances with Rick to a point. Like, they both always have been, like, very pragmatic people, but they're varying degrees of that, where, at least based off, what we've seen recently, Carol is kind of, in this episode, I guess, kind of back off from how she directly handles things, where Rick is more open to certain ideas, even if he's going to kind of still go kind of the most straight line route possible.
I'm just glad she was back this episode.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's also nice.
Yeah.
She's my favorite character. going forward. So.
Now, we've talked so far about this episode. Now it's time to talk about probably the best part of this episode, the hunt for Gregory's head.
Yeah, I was going to say, when Rick punches faces. That's what I was going to say. That's in my notes. Rick punches faces. Is that?
At first, I was like, when they park the RVs and stuff, and they're getting, and they're like, okay, we're going to spread out, and then they're looking, and it took me about like 3 seconds, and I'm like, oh, they need a head. And it was just the funniest thing. Like, they're looking at all these walkers, and like, which one's going to be a match for Gregory, and they're even going so far as to like cutting the hair, and it's so funny. And then that bit with the nose, like, well, his nose looks a little off, and Rick just punches the crap out of his nose. It's like, oh, well, he got out of hand, and you broke your hand, so you had to rough him up. So.
Yeah, and Andy had a good line there. Andy from Hilltop said the saviors are scary, but those pricks have nothing on you.
Yes.
Because Rick also at that point said what? He did the what again?
Yes.
Yeah.
We all know the head thing now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's share it with our audience because I know everyone saw that post. It was pretty funny.
So among the severed heads that were presented yesterday, or in this week's episode, Johnny Depp's face was among the the heads.
The one on the rightmost head was Johnny Depp, right? Yeah. And the middle one was Greg Nicotero.
And mold laying around.
Yeah. So for anyone that wanted to see Johnny Depp's zombified head going, I guess it wasn't even zombified, but his head in the Walking Dead, there it is.
But there's just something about it. It was like a great relief point in the episode because it's so absurd, but yet it makes perfect sense, right? It's like,
I like it when it undercuts the tension
Yeah.
like that. I mean, after a while, it can just kind of get oppressive. Just tension after tension after tension. It's nice to let the air out of it every once in a while.
And every time Rick says what, that's it. It's fine. I mean, stuff and fangs and what?
Is what going to be the new coral?
That's the new stuff, fangs, squirrel, and what? But that brings us to Flight 462, Aaron. I don't know if you're ready for that.
Oh, hey.
Are you saying it's time for another Fear the Walking Dead Flight 462 podcast episode?
I'm saying it is that time, Aaron. Yes.
Oh, right, okay.
Brought to you by Delta Airlines.
we totally need Bill McDonald to do a VO for the Flight 462 interlude, and we need to put some music, some like breaking headline music, and make a bumper.
No,
Oh,
your
boy.
weekly Fear the Walking Dead Flight 462 update.
So this week, the dumb woman whose husband turned into a zombie, although she wouldn't know it's a zombie, she's like, I think he's okay. So she's that convenient lock that's outside of the door of the bathroom to open the door, and she was immediately taken down by her dead husband. Then the air marshal, who's supposed to be responsible for the weapon, decides to just open fire in the airplane at the corpse of this man. Doesn't seem to realize anything that's not stopping him until the very informed woman says, shoot him in the head. But of course, at that point, he's run out of bullets. This is after the zombies already attacked and pushed him down. He pushed his hand to the side so he can take shots into the side of an airplane, which I'm sure that probably went well as well.
Sure.
This is a really tense episode, though. A lot of things happened.
Something tells me if you shot somebody 3 or 4 times in the center mass, like it's funny because I did some research because I was like, man, it didn't seem like he shot that many bullets, and I thought those guys carried Glocks.
Shot 10 times. 10 times.
Yeah, and those that should carry more. Like I thought a Glock carried like between like 13 and 15 and all this. So it drove me nuts. So I started looking and I did all this research, and this is what we do for you here on the Walking Dead TV podcast. We spend 30 minutes to research a 50-second video clip.
Russ had to bring back 5 of the interns that normally work on the rest of the show for this episode.
Yes. But I guess doing some research, I found that air marshals carry 6 hours, and I guess it is not inconceivable that they would carry 10 rounds. That I guess depending on the exact model, they could carry anywhere from like 10 to 14 rounds.
Based on the I'm a 6 hour owner, so based on the caliber of the SIG, I have the 227, which is a 10 round 45 cal. So I'm sorry, yeah. So if he had that model, then yeah, it could have been 10 rounds plus 1 in the pipe.
Of course, being an air marshal, I thought about that too. I'm like, he probably doesn't walk around with 1 in the chamber. Like that's probably not like super safe. He probably just has the the clip, which is 10. So I went back and rewatched it
You
again.
can safely, but that's the only ones that don't do that is like I think he's really military. They don't carry 1 in the pipe. They're allowed to cock it. Most people do carry 1 in the pipe. That's the fastest way to get if you're in a situation to get a bullet out. You don't want to sit there and have to cock your gun.
Sure.
And it's cool for the movies, but that's not how people usually carry. But either way,
Based on the way that Abraham talks all the time, I'm sure he always has 1 in the chamber.
Hey-o.
That said,
Hey, no.
I'm sure there's probably a deleted
shooting
scene.
blanks, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's probably a deleted scene from the Flight 462 web series that's a whole like 5 seconds where he like shot 2 passengers just for the hell of it before we got to this. I mean,
Yeah. Well, it's funny because one of the things in looking it up, they're trained to shoot center mass and then the head, and I'm like. Because that was the other thing too. Watching it, I'm like, okay, this dude was a little like antsy, and I'm like, if you're an air marshal, something tells me you're not like you're pretty steeled. Like if your whole job is to get on a plane and potentially shoot somebody, you're probably a different class of person than most people. But I'm like, okay, you shoot the guy 3 times in the chest and he's not dead. Wouldn't you just think, okay, maybe I'll shoot him in the head just to be sure? It's like I don't know.
not on Flight 462 apparently.
and that's plenty of time spent on Flight 462.
More than the actual episode.
Listeners are getting their money's worth right now.
But this really was the best episode of Flight 462 all around. I mean, most happened.
Something happened, yes. This is the best episode of Flight 462. You're right.
It's like declaring someone the world's tallest midget. It's a pretty dubious honor.
I'll give it 5 baggage handlers out of 5.
Nice. A strong score.
I also failed in my duties because 2 weeks ago I think I said since I was going on a plane I would look and see if there was a lock on the outside of the bathroom, and I failed to look at that. So that bit of research was a failure.
Well, next time, Russ. Good luck. We're all counting on you.
Thanks, man. Don't call me Shirley.
Auto.
Meanwhile, at the homestead, I thought it was cool when they rolled up to that place. It looked like a SETI facility. I mean, it was like these huge radar dish, like this hardened facility. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if you guys got this vibe from this part of the episode, but from here until the end, it felt like a John Carpenter flick. I mean,
Yeah.
The music was very Carpenter,
yeah,
for sure.
I mean, everything's at night. It was real, kind of closely shot. A lot of shooting, running, and
Red lights from the outside
Yeah.
was really cool. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Completely agree.
I wish we could interview Nicotero and just ask him like, was this in your head? Like, were you kind of thinking along these lines? Because it just shouted out to me, John Carpenter.
Yeah, it's a very, without getting into the specifics so far of what our heroes do, the way it's shot, I mean, both the kind of the stealth portion and the kind of action heavy portion, they're really well. I mean, Nicotero really. I think this is pretty. I mean, we had shootouts and stuff before. This just felt like a very accomplished scene as far as engaging in a level of action that kind of had its level of a layer of tension there that felt kind of alien to the series.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
Yes.
Why did Maggie go with them?
Yeah, we were talking about this early on in the podcast.
Yeah, because I mean, she's pregnant.
So you're on Carol's side of the situation.
Jim agrees with me. See, Carol's right.
I was on the other side of the situation. I was saying, well, she's still a very capable warrior. She's not exactly her pregnancy isn't slowing her down yet, and she's the one who made the deal with the Hilltoppers, and I guess that's why she felt responsible to go.
Yeah, but even with optimal conditions, it's probably not advisable for a woman who's carrying a baby who wants to see the term to go on a stealth killing spree. I don't know. I just didn't understand logically why they brought her along. And then later, so.
That was mainly
the majority,
that was my main-
Carol, I can
yeah.
understand. Carol was a great shot, and it's proven her worth several times when the chips were down. Maggie, I mean, she's pregnant, and I just didn't. I mean, maybe I'm a chauvinist here, but just thinking, that it's not like this is the optimal conditions for her to have a baby. I would think they would not take any chances at all, with her.
I was thinking
miscarrying or
along the lines of both because she's she has kind of a leadership position at this point. And yes, I mean, I'm happy that she makes the choice for herself. I'm not going to downplay the idea like she can't do whatever she wants to do. But at the same time, there do seem to be like legit reasons of why she shouldn't be there. Both being one that kind of is negotiating between with another town, being one who Deanna left as one of the main leaders in charge, being one of the more dependable people of the gang, who all seem to be on the same mission together. I can see where Carol's coming from, and I would side more with her than with Maggie's. Like, I got to be here with Glenn. He's my husband. I can't lose him again. That kind of thing.
And we've seen it before too, where she was left behind because of her condition, just earlier this season, right? I mean, when they went on the
Yeah, she made a stupid decision then. They had to go out in the middle of it too. So
yeah, that's true.
It just seems like they're taking unnecessary chances that they shouldn't have with her.
I agree.
So speaking of things getting dangerous for people, let's talk about Rick and Glenn and their encounters in this stealth mission.
Yeah. So it kind of starts out pretty innocuous, right? I mean, they have the cool exchange, so they're able to pass off to Negan's men that's truly Gregory's head, and they buy it. And I love that because they have it in a bag, and he goes to hand him the bag. He's like, I don't want the bag. And then he takes the head out, and the guy starts using it like a puppet, which was like, that is just nasty.
It's like right off the bat, you're like, okay, well these guys are jerks.
Yeah,
So
these
of
guys are
course,
clearly unhinged.
the second one walks out, another walks in, or Daryl walks in, just like slices the guy's throat, like stabs him in the face. We see it off screen. It's like,
Yeah.
and they're all very like strategize about this. It's like watching like SEAL Team 6 come in to like invade as they like take away the body and clear.
It's pretty awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
They were definitely like a special forces unit or a SEAL team. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
And then
Then
they
they
decided to stick with the stealth mode. So it's if they were playing like Splinter Cell or Thief or something, they would definitely be getting the bonus points for stealth kills as opposed to just going gun blazing. But
But my favorite part of all that was Abraham putting his hair in a do-rag because the red hair would stand out at night. And so he had to make sure he covered that up. Because at first I was like, wait, who's Mustache? Oh, it's Abraham. He put it in
it's getting into character.
Yeah. So we see Rick. Rick doesn't take much hesitation, right? He walks in the room, he takes his knife, he looks at him, he's like, all right, where's the best place? I'm supposed to like, should I do this? It's more like, where's the best place to do this? And he does it, kills the guy. The knife's extra gooey, which was disgusting. But it's like, all right, they really want to make sure you know. And like, he's out the door. Then we check in with Glenn and Heath, right? And like early on, did we talk about the conversation they had?
No, we should probably
No.
back up and talk about that. So
When they were in the woods, yeah, they were looking for the zombies.
they kind of have this conversation about the fact that just hesitation about Heath is like, well, I've never killed an actual human being before, and Glenn's like, yeah, neither have I would have thought that something Glenn would have done again, but I guess it's the up close and personal part. Like,
Yeah, it's a direct kill type.
Yeah, Glenn has never looked somebody in the eye and killed them.
Even then, like, I'm trying to think back to just giant skirmishes they've been involved with. I don't think Glenn's ever been like rained down gunfire on somebody like in Terminus or stuff like that. I think he's always been maybe nearby and like helped defend against walkers. But I can't think of a time where they, even with that, what's the one guy who shot himself in the face and caused the great Glenn mystery of 2015?
Nicholas,
thank you. he could have killed him in the woods or whatever. Like they made the show's been a stance to try to keep Glenn good. For lack of a better way to say it.
Yeah, but they kind of have this conversation about how especially Heath is like, I don't know if I want to be, can I be that person? Is that who I am? That kind of thing. And Glenn they kind of sympathize with each other over the fact that this isn't going to be an easy thing for them to do, even though they both wholeheartedly agree that it needs to be done.
Yeah, and when it comes to doing this, Glenn pulls a move where he kind of saves Heath from having to go through it. Like obviously he does his, and it is horrible.
Hesitantly.
Very hesitantly, and it's horrible. It's horrible for him. He feels really bad about it. You see obvious emotion on his face, as he should. Where like Rick is more accustomed to this at this point. I wouldn't say he completely doesn't care about what he's doing, but at the same time I think he's got a grip on himself when it comes to having to do certain horrible things for the greater good. But seeing Glenn go through with it and then seeing him take one for the team essentially by not making Heath have to do it, it's a good character beat. It kind of reaffirms what we established earlier in a show where I often am not usually responsive to how they try to go about the character beats. I like this one quite a bit, and it does kind of bring into question before immediately resolving it. How far are our heroes really going now, where we're actually killing people in their sleep before they even pose a credible threat?
Yeah.
And then the show immediately comes back and says, by the way, here's a bunch of Polaroids of how horrible these people are. Really make sure
Right,
you know.
exactly. That's what I was going to say. It's like, they set up this like moral dilemma and then immediately dismiss it. It's like, nope, these are really, really bad guys.
Yeah.
Even beyond them using words like needle dick and whatever, all the shit brain and stuff. Even beyond the bad language. These are some really rough guys. So.
And
I mean, Glenn was practically crying as he took the plunge with the knife. I mean, he was sobbing or at least gasping or something. I mean, he was really stressed out about that first one.
It was the first time.
It was over.
It was the first time in a while where I felt uncomfortable watching something on The Walking Dead, where in a show
Yeah.
does a lot of
Yeah.
really crazy things. I haven't felt uncomfortable in a while. Maybe even Carol shooting is kind of like I feel like I know what's going on. It doesn't really get to me that much. But this one,
Yeah,
was
it
like,
wasn't.
I was like, wow, this feels bad. And I know they're bad people. But it's like this is my boy Glenn, who's generally my favorite character as far as I always know where I am with Glenn. Carol's favorite character in terms of like characterization. As far as like I know who I can rely on to like make me smile to some degree. It's basically Glenn and Abe, like and Eugene.
Right. I just, I don't know. It seems like he's been more rudder for the past season or two. I mean, comparatively to Rick, Rick kind of went off the edge.
Sure.
And it's different levels of violence. I mean, it's different, taking out a walker or, facing someone on the field of battle like the prison sequence or, like you said, killing these guys in their sleep. I mean, they're entirely different acts of violence. And, I had the same reaction you did. It was hard to watch.
And you're right, he has been the moral compass. I mean, I guess it started with Dale, and then Herschel took over, and now it's been Glenn. He's been the moral compass, or at least at least championing that cause for the last couple of seasons. Getting to those Polaroids though for 1 second, were they like of people's heads beaten in? It looked like to me. Is that what it was?
Yeah,
Okay.
some kind of object used to beat them in.
Some kind of object used to beat someone's head in and then took a picture.
Like a
Okay,
pole or a beam or a bat or a
if
laser
you guys are
gun.
amenable to it, I'd like
Large
to.
salami.
But yeah, just and then once we get past the tactical aspect of it, things start to escalate. The alarm gets tripped, and then it's just all out gunfire. I mean, and they're able to do a pretty good job of clearing everything out because the saviors are kind of taken by surprise. Like they don't know what's going on. And then just they don't really even have time to react before they're just mowed down. And the Alexandrians kind of split up into different teams, and they're able to to take everybody out and just kind of clear out this facility. They probably had to kill about 20, 25 people, I would guess.
It felt that much, yeah. I mean, you saw them coming down the stairs, people in the hallway. I mean,
Yeah, that shot of them going down the hallway.
Yeah.
The shot of the three of them in the hallway.
Dude, and when
that was pretty epic.
And when Heath and Glenn find the armory, and they just unload on that door. It was like they look like two kids at a candy store for about half a minute because they're just like every weapon imaginable strung up there.
I guess he did kill somebody then. I mean, ultimately, right? If that's what we're
Yeah, but
I
through
mean,
the door.
Yeah, but I mean, the show does lean back on it too. The show does like it makes it kind of a moment of like, look at us shooting at this door. Let's have a slow pull away to show the door opening and see all the chaos. Because I mean, he does react to it. Like he does. It's not for nothing that like it happens. Like we see Keith react to the fact that I had to kill people in a moment of crisis, which like, is obviously a little bit more or less complicated than sleep death. But,
that's true. They're under attack. You're right.
Yeah.
It's also them. It's different. You're right.
Jesus saves the day.
as usual.
Yes. But it was pretty cool. I mean, they cleared out the facility, and then I was like, man, that had to be a pretty long night, because didn't they start on the raid on that facility at like midnight?
Well, Rick said before dawn.
I
They
thought
get them right before dawn because
okay.
they're really tired and everyone's still asleep. And it's
Maybe they had it out. Anyway, I thought there was something said about midnight. I was like, man, that was a really long. It took them a really long time. But
yeah, I think they started out at midnight, but they got to the facility just a little bit before dawn.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So of course they finish clearing everything out. They step outside, and then of course there's one straggler, and then he hops off on the motorcycle, and Daryl's able. They shoot him, kind of to maim him. I think at this point they're thinking, okay, we got a hostage. We got somebody that we can probably torture to get information out of as to what's going on. Because at this point they don't even know, did they kill Negan?
Well, they're convinced they did. Like,
yeah, because they're like, well, I wonder if we'll ever know which one was Negan. Like they
Michonne poses that question to Rick, right?
Yeah.
She wonder which one of those guys was Negan.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were trying to keep him alive though. I don't think they were just trying to shoot him. I don't think they
Well, it looks like
intentionally.
They shot him off the thing. I'm sure maybe some of them were like, okay, we can punch this guy to see what happens. And Daryl was just like, I'm just gonna punch him and I don't even have questions.
He tackled him. It was his bike.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah. I was gonna ask. That's Daryl's motorcycle, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, why would you ask?
It was actually the scene just before Tara
Tara,
actually
yeah.
shot one of the people escaping from the front door. And that's when we see the scene with Father Gabriel and finishing him off, so to speak.
Yeah.
There was two people running, and that was actually Tara's first human kill, apparently too. I mean, we've never seen her kill anybody as well, or Father Gabriel for that matter.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then Heath and Tara go off. Wait, so they mentioned going off for 2 weeks. Is it another scouting missions or
Yeah, she had to
scavenging?
give birth, so they had to get her out for
Sure,
a couple episodes, and yeah, it's pretty convenient.
She's so pregnant on this episode.
She's so prego.
And then of course, over the walkie-talkie, a female voice who was obviously Alicia Witt. I mean, as soon as I heard her talking, I was like, oh, that's Alicia Witt. Says, you put the, I forget what she called him, put the gun down, and he just kind of looks around. He's like, yeah, you with the Colt Python, and he's like,
Right.
Oh man, somebody's staring at us.
What if it's all in a ruse? And they're like, next week, Alicia Witt is Negan, and just everyone, the internet burns down.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, casting Jeffrey Dean Morgan was just a smoke.
He walks up first, and then he gets shot in the face, and it's Alicia Witt behind him.
It's like a Ra's al Ghul thing, like
Exactly.
Negan, but he's just a mouthpiece. He's not really.
The Rachel Gould of the Walking Dead universe.
Yes.
Everyone's Negan.
Yes.
Negan's eternal.
There was one other quick scene too inside the bunker. I don't know if you guys caught it, where Abraham busted into a room and it was full of weed growing.
Yeah, that was a quick
Okay.
cut too. They're like, hey, by the way, I kicked open this door. I was hitting for like 5 minutes straight. There's weed in here, and they were like, that's gone.
Yeah, the armory easy to break into. The weed room that took some work.
That's
Oh my god,
the door for a while.
You could shoot through it or anything. The armor, you can shoot through that door, do whatever you need to do, buzz into it, you're done. But not the weed room, guys.
Yeah.
And it was also a quick scene of Morgan welding something at the end, and he was kind of sobbing. And I don't know if you guys caught this. I think he was trying to build a stronger jail cell. Because he was in that room, he was in that house that served as the jailhouse. There were some cinder blocks put up. I think he's trying to actually weld some bars, steel bars, so he can
Makes
make a
sense.
proper jail cell. That's what it seemed like to me.
Yeah, I posed that question in my written review over at theyoungfolks.com, and Everard answered me, one of our Facebook group members.
Okay, cool.
He mentioned that I think he believes it was a jail cell similar to the one that he was in when he was getting his ninja training, Jedi training, whatever.
Gotcha. I didn't read that, but yeah,
it makes sense to me. Yeah. Which I guess means that he's going to keep taking in folk.
Sounds that way. And of course, this all culminates with the fact that Maggie and Carol were kidnapped, because one of the things that Alicia Witt says is, well, I'm guessing you're worried about, or she says, I guess I have somebody here named a Carol and a Maggie, and then they're like, oh no. So, and given the previews for the next episode, it looks like we're kind of going to get a little bit of a flashback and get a lot of goings on from the perspective of Carol and Maggie as opposed to Rick and crew. So
I would hope so.
I think it's going to be one of those episodes.
I don't like just seeing Carol randomly get like sidelined and like we know how capable she is. So I hope we get, like at the very least, even in the previous episode, we saw like the lead up to Jesus getting to where he needed to get. Like we see some lead up to how our most badass warrior on this episode sort of Michonne maybe got the someone got the drop on her. So.
Yeah. So Buster ratings. Let's go around the horn. Aaron, what's your Buster rating?
A solid 4 Busters here. I think it's I hesitate to say fun episode, but I mean it is a very thrilling episode, which is something I do like to get in the series. That I admire for its technical prowess, but at the same time, it's nice to see something that actually kind of made me uncomfortable in a way where I was compelled to keep watching. And even at the end of this episode, this was like one of the first times in a while where I was thinking, I wish we got another episode right away as opposed to having to wait a week. Good stuff from Carol that we talked about plenty. I think there's some really interesting character work there. Interesting character work in general for a lot of characters, which I responded to more than I usually do. And again, just the whole action set piece taking place at the end, and kind of you mentioned the John Carpenter aspect of it. All these things really work well for me. So solid 4 Busters.
Well, I'll give it a 4.75. I'll be the voice, as I've been for pretty much a long time, with the action side of things. This is what a lot of the fans that watch the show want to see. Rick and gang kicking serious butt. The whole military aspect of that SEAL team type of look when they're coming in. I just love all that. Some great character work, as Aaron said. We talked about that. We talked about Carol for quite a while. And really just this is the show is just firing on every single cylinder possible right now, and it shows. The writing is great. Rick is in a great place. Every person is really at their finest right now, and this is just great. I can't wait for the next few episodes to come up if they just keep getting better than this. And, wow, I mean, 4.75 out of 5. Keep it coming.
I'll go 4.25 on this one, mainly because of the return of Carol. I'd like to see when she put the cookie on Sam's grave. That was cool too. I don't know if you guys mentioned that before.
Yep.
It was cool how they had all these great action sequences and a lot of tense moments, yet they had a really cool comedic sequence kind of in the middle when they're looking for Greg's head. I really thought this was a strong episode. We got a lot of good character moments, and it felt I don't know, it just felt like a really, really tight, well-written episode. So 4.25 out of 5.
I will give it a 4.5. I really can't find too many flaws with this episode. There's nothing that really made my eyes roll. There wasn't anything that really upset me. I thought it was extremely well directed. Again, I'm a huge John Carpenter fan, so the fact that this episode felt like a John Carpenter movie really kind of sits well with me in general. So definitely an upper tier episode of the series for me. All right, well, our sponsor this week for the Walking Dead TV podcast is Discount Comic Book Service. That's dcbservice.com. It is the beginning of the month, so all of the new solicits are up over at dcbservice.com. So go ahead and check everything out, where you can get fantastic discounts, 30, 40, 50, and occasionally on new number ones. They'll even go as high as 75% off on new issues. But most of the trades are at a very, very good good discount. You can get all of the Walking Dead trade paperbacks for deeply discounted prices, anywhere from 38 to 45% off. So that makes most of them under $10, and it's just a great deal. You can also hit up their sister site, In Stock Trade. So if you need to do some catching up, if you order $50 or more, the shipping is free. I will say I actually prefer ordering, especially trades and hardcovers and stuff, from In Stock Trades or DCBS over Amazon, because A, normally the prices are much better than Amazon, and two, they do a heck of a lot better job of shipping you the stuff. I've had some really bad luck with some hardcovers and large volumes with Amazon, and them coming up and they're just beaten to crap in the mail. And at In Stock Trades and DCB service, they really excel at packaging and customer service. And when you get it, it's not going to be all beat up. If over all the years of ordering, I think I've had one incident where something came and was a little messed up, and they immediately shipped out another copy of it. Those guys are just fantastic to deal with. But again, you can check out everything else. Walking Dead related, not Walking Dead related, whatever you want, they got it. On the Walking Dead front, if you're not into the comics, they've got T-shirts, they've got action figures, the Walking Dead magazine, which is like the official magazine of the Walking Dead TV show. They offer that there as well. So definitely give them check them out over at bcbservice.com, and we thank them for their support of the Walking Dead TV podcast.
Walking Dead adult coloring book now on sale.
Oh man, yeah.
You only need 3 crayons, really. You need like red and purple and brown. Brown, you'll be done. But who cares what we think about The Walking Dead, Russ? Because we have a fabulous Facebook group, and we'd love for you to join it. It's called The Walking Dead TV Podcast. It's a Facebook group. We have 5 new members just this week. We were up to 727 members strong, which is pretty awesome.
That's great.
And please join the group. You can get links to Aaron's weekly reviews on youngfolks.com there. You can get a lot of fun memes. We make a lot of interesting conjectures and theories, and a lot of good chatter and talk there. It's a pretty troll-free group too. So check it out. Definitely The Walking Dead TV Podcast Facebook group. And every week we ask you, the listeners, to tell us what your Buster ratings are. And this week obviously is no exception. Also, I wouldn't have done this long introduction. Pamela Burton said, "I give it a 4 out of 5. Abraham is an a-hole, and Rosita could do much better. I didn't think the mission was going to be easy as I thought. Maggie should have stayed home. Now her and Carol will probably die next episode." Tracy W replied to that, "I feel like Carol taking up smoking and acting normal is foreshadowing, although I think everyone is going to die all the time."
We didn't even talk about smoking, and she did do that. We didn't even mention that, actually. It's a good call out.
Brent Jones, 4 strategically placed dinner plates hiding pregnant bellies out of 5. Say it 3 times fast, Jim. No, they don't pay me enough for that. Nerve-wracking intensity at its best. I like that Aaron still rocked the Dockers to go attacking. to go attacking. We didn't meet Negan, but they sure did make him mad. Rosita, I'm here if you need a hug. My plan would have been to burn the place down and surround it, picking off escapees as they emerge. Wow. Well, what's better, slitting your throat while you sleep or burning you alive? I don't know. Carl Hooker, I'll give it a 4.25. Priest killing saviors out of 5. Oh, the irony there. Was surprised they got through so cleanly. Lots of bullets flying through narrow hallways without a single hit. But the action and suspense were pretty great. I wonder what Morgan was making. We determined that was a prison. And does anyone have a good recipe for acorn and beet cookies? Jim?
Jim, you see this band out there. They want that book, Jim.
I've tasted acorns and beets. I just can't imagine them being good together as a cookie. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess in some vegan cookbook somewhere, but I would wait for the butter and the eggs to make a cookie. That's just the way I roll. Dwight Irvin, 5 Quirky Eugene t-shirts out of 5. I love this episode. However, I wish Morgan would just get on board and use his skills to help the group. At least Gabriel was stepping up. I thought his kill scene was pretty powerful. Yeah, I was going to say, it's about time they did something with him other than let him babysit Judith, Robin Young Sanders, 4.75. Glenn is no longer a virgin, killing live humans out of 5. An awesome, intense, on the edge of your seat episode. David B. the third, 4.62. Now his nose looks right, out of 5. All around great episode, except coming back from commercial to Bright as Hell Daylight, just to be followed up by the walkie-talkie closer. And Flight 462 appears to be a zombie destination. Everard Santa Marina, 4.25. No one wanted to ship Tobin and Carol out of 5. Ew. Okay, Everard. Hey, man, Carol needs love too, man.
Everybody needs a loving, man, yeah.
Dude, ain't nothing wrong with that. I couldn't get past how pregnant Atlanta Master Sin looks. I guess they're sending her off since she's way too pregnant to not even show anymore. They did a great job with hiding Sasha's pregnancy. Saviors tend to not feel right at all. No sentries outside. Only 2 guards. Yet they managed to have their only 2 rear guards captured. The Polaroids, the people with their heads bashed in, was over the top. Susan Mount, 4 out of 5. SEAL Team Ricks. Great action sequence. Abraham needs to learn how to tactfully break up with someone. But it's the apocalypse, and who has time for that? Is Father Gabriel now Jules from Pulp Fiction?
So.
Same thing, Susan. Hey, look at that. Jesus saves. Max Sofer, 4. Susan Monk stole my lines out of 5. Jesus saves was literally going to be my entire review of this episode. LOL. The scene with Glenn Heath in the bedroom was the most uncomfortable I've been watching the show. Great stuff. Mike Jones, 5 church meetings out with Jesus out of 5. This is one of those episodes that defines the series. The team storming the compound had me on the edge of my seat. Harry Mack, 4 poor choices and 2 overconfident Rick Cruz out of 5. Great episode. Only gripe was the plan seemed a tad rash. Carol called it with the Maggie stuff. I was amazed on who actually went on who they could have left back. Cheryl Morse Goodman, 4.8. I needed a Xanax to get through this out of 5. Very intense. Love Gabriel so much. Kind of remind me of the Boondock Saints. As for Carol, I like her and Tobin. It's kind of sweet, but I suspect she will sacrifice herself to save Maggie. Paul McCacker, 4.5. Murderous camper trips out of 5. I love the action, but with Morgan's morality hanging over them, I suspect we'll see the consequences of reckless slaughter. Alan Rutledge, 3.5. Beat and acorn cookies out of 5. The gang's Rainbow Six style siege was exciting and new, but it has to suffer no losses was a little too convenient. Tanya Royson, 4. Who's Negan out of 5? Did they even ask what he looks like? I thought there was a nice balance of action, personal drama. Rick picking up the saviors at the top of the stairs. Sweet. Tarek Awan, 4 photos of people at a date with Negan's favorite girl out of 5. I'm going to leave that there. Scott Homan, 4.25 bags of zombie heads out of 5. I like their attack. I plan to attack Unitarian Jesus and gang outside in case they need help. I thought they were too relaxed walking around the outside of the compound. I didn't get that at all. Ian Timms, a 5 out of 5 chestnuts roasting. Love an action episode. Can I assume the woman on the mic is the girl that stole Daryl's motorbike? Tina or Sherry something? I don't know. Richard, Chopper Cherry Charrington, 4.75. Acorn and beets cookies out of 5. Fantastic episode. As it aired, I said to myself, I think Daryl will soon be reunited with his crossbow. The bikes appear so it can't be far behind. Rob Cook, 4.5. What? Out of 5?
That's right.
Rick now officially owns the shortest catchphrase on TV. Harshest dumping of the week goes to Abraham with Eugene's t-shirt as the icing on the cake. Adam Fatah, I will give the episode 4.5 out of 5. Alexandria Cruz should have minded their own business. They should not be fighting hilltop community battles against the saviors. I don't read the comics, but I assume something bad will happen to Rick and his crew. Well, Adam, it is The Walking Dead, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Adam Crane, 5 out of 5. SEAL Team 6. Rick's team isn't perfect, but the closest we've got right now. It just blows my mind to see how far they've come. Rated heavily on enemy base in the middle of the night, take almost no casualties. They all stepped up with a badass team. Loved it. And if you would like to be among our commenters for next week's episode, by all means, join the Walking Dead TV Podcast Facebook group. It's on the Facebook. It's on the interwebs. You may have heard of it.
Susan Monk also had another really cool saying other than Jesus saves. It was Nin Jesus.
Yeah. Nice.
I like that one too. Well, as we're getting ready to close the episode, I think we're going to do a small spoiler discussion. But Mr. Neworth has to has prior engagement, probably something movie related, probably something cooler than the rest of us are doing.
Yeah, well,
So,
Yeah, you know.
but check him out on the Out Now podcast with Aaron and Abe, and you can probably listen in on what he's going to be up to this evening.
yeah, we got a lot of fun coming up. We got an episode on Zootopia coming out soon, and Cloverfield's next week, so it should be good times. But
Oh,
thanks as
cool.
always.
Nice.
Hanging out with you guys, talking about Walking Dead, and I'll be back next week probably. So.
See you next week, Aaron.
All right.
Fantastic.
Okay,
So make sure
sir.
head over to youngfolks.com and check out his weekly reviews of the episodes. So,
Yeah, thanks again for that.
where he is posting them there.
All right, later, guys.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you. We are going to do a brief spoiler discussion. So after all of this, stay tuned if you don't mind being potentially spoiled. We're going to speculate on the show and spoil something big that happens in the comic. So if you're not up to, I would say, around issue, really to All Out War, or pretty close to that, you might want to just go ahead and bail after we close out the show. So if otherwise, you can stick around if you just are curious to hear what we have to say and what we think. But until then, you can, as always, like Jim said, check us out at facebook.com/WDTV podcast. You can also head over to hhwlod.com, where you can find a whole bevy of podcasts that we all do. Jim is the lead on the DC TV podcast, where I think they're going to end up going to 3 shows a week at the rate that Warner Brothers is adding television shows to their slate.
When Flash, iZombie, and Arrow come back from hiatus at the end of March, we'll be covering 7 episodes a week.
Insane.
And that's not counting Preacher, which I think starts in April.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. We get a little bit of a breather right now.
I blame Johnny M. It was his fault.
I
Because
agree.
he said, hey, we're doing a Marvel show called It's All Connected that covers the Marvel Studios stuff and TV and movies, and that's hosted by Mr. Russell Latham, some of the finest minds from the MCU exchange. And then John says, hey, why don't you do one on the DC side? It'll be fine. Now it's become a full-time job. I sold my soul to Greg Berlanti. So
Yeah, and then Johnny M went on hiatus.
yeah, well, yeah.
But definitely check that out over there. Of course, the other places you can hear myself and Jim Dietz are over at the Taylor Network of podcasts, where Jim does Nothing's On with Daryl Taylor and Donnie Salvo.
Every other week we cover TV, and we watch all the TV, so you don't have to.
Right. And I have actually joined a podcast at the Taylor Network. Those guys shanghaied me into Gotham by Geeks. So it's myself, it's Daryl Taylor, it's Chris Campbell, and it is Mike Myers. And we just talk strictly about Batman, mainly Batman comics. So we each typically pick an issue to review, and then we talk about news and stuff. We had upcoming episode, we'll have Tom King on, where we talk with him about some Batman comics as well. So definitely check that out at Taylor Network, the Taylor Network of podcast.com.
Oh, I wanted to mention real quick, also TaylorNetworkPodcast.com. We're doing a video game show with myself, Renee Alvarado, Gil Colon, and Juan Castro, called
right, yes.
The Players Club, and we have an in-depth review of the new Walking Dead Michonne game, episode 1, because that's the only one that's been released on that, and it should be coming out at the same time as this podcast. So if you're interested in more of an in-depth look at that game, and you should, because it's a really great game, then check that out. The Players Club, also at TaylorNetworkPodcast.com.
And the fact that Gil Colon and Jim Dietz are both on a podcast at the same
Dude,
time.
I love Gil, he's awesome.
The voice quotient went up by 1,000 with that, because those two guys, I'm surprised there's not a request from the ladies nonstop with those two guys
We're
going.
going to do a podcast with just Bill and Bill McDonald and Gil and me.
Too much sexy, man. Too much sexy.
all the low voice guys I know.
Yeah. And of course, you can check out Mr. Craig DeMonda's show, the Auto Chat Show. And where
Yes.
can they find that, Mr. DeMonda?
Yeah, you can find us on iTunes. Just do a search for Auto Chat Show. I'll pop right up there. Also, Facebook.com/AutoChatShow, AutoChatShow.com. So when I'm not talking The Walking Dead, I'm reviewing cars and talking cars and pop culture. It's a very fun show. Me and my co-host Teddy. We just released episode 27 this week, and we're talking about the full new car review of the Lexus ES350 and the Mitsubishi Outlander. Next show, we'll be talking about the Mazda 3 and possibly the Honda Civic if we squeeze it in. And at the end of the month, we've got the full New York International Auto Show coverage coming up. So a lot of interviews with auto execs and a lot of trends in the automotive industry that will be coming forward, and of course the various awards that they do at that show. So a lot of good news. It's pretty lighthearted. We have a lot of laughs, Teddy and I. So if you're not a true car geek and you don't want to be bored to tears of other podcasts out there and other shows, give us a listen. We have a lot of fun. AutoChatShow.com.
Excellent. And send us an iTunes review. If you haven't given us an iTunes review, please head over to iTunes and look up Walking Dead TV Podcast. Leave us an iTunes review. If you love any of the other shows that any of us do, we would appreciate an iTunes review there as well. So, until there's no more room in hell and the dead walk the earth, remember, dingleberries are brown because that's the way it is. All right.
Rebel.
That is profound.
Yeah.
I'm speechless. I don't know what to say to that.
How do you top that?
can't.
So I was curious to get what you guys thought, because we talked a while about like who we thought might be killed off at the end of the episode or end of the season. We know that there's a heart-wrenching scene that Andrew Lincoln himself just said, just kind of really threw him for a loop at the end. We know, based on issue 100 of the comic, that Negan and Lucille bashed Glenn's face in, to put it mildly. We see that, and of course Maggie was pregnant at that point as well. So we saw the pictures with the Polaroids of the faces bashed in. So to me, that was like a huge wink and a nod to anybody that reads the comics. Are you guys, I know I was in the, I don't think Glenn's going to get it camp for the finale. Are you guys leaning more towards that way now, or are you guys still thinking it's going to be somebody else?
Well,
I don't think it's going to be Glenn. I just feel like it'd be more impactful if it were Carol or Maggie, I think, at this point, than if it were Glenn.
there's been a lot of misdirection this season, especially with the whole thing in the beginning with Glenn being dead, but then he's not dead. And now we see Carol and Maggie. But you know what? I'm thinking that could even change. They can maybe negotiate them back, and they can get them back for the next episode. I mean, we don't know where this can go. We know just by all the commentary out there, like you said, Andrew Lincoln's been speaking publicly about this, and some of the other actors have. Somebody major is definitely going. We've heard theories that it could be Daryl. Maybe his time is up. Since I mean, there's a lot of different theories out there. I really, at this point, have no idea because of all the misdirection. I mean, the whole world is expecting Glenn to go. At least the world that reads the comics, right? So for them to do that, I mean, yeah, I guess it's kind of fulfilling, but maybe it'd be more fulfilling to eliminate somebody else. Maybe even Morgan may go. Maybe his story may be wrapped up at this point. He'll have to pay for his sins, so to speak. This can go in a lot of different directions. I really don't know at this point.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the. I think Glenn is a little too easy, but I think Maggie is a little too redundant. They killed Lori off. That seems kind of silly to do that. But one of the things that Maggie said was this will have a cost. Like there will be So again, it's a lot of foreshadowing. The fact that she said it. They did the ultrasound. It almost seems like it's like you're trying to outguess them outguessing you, right? I mean, it almost seems like it's too on the nose for it to be Glenn. But I'm trying to think of like who else would have that impact to Andrew Lincoln. Like who else?
Daryl. That's it. I mean, I don't think he's going to go. Let's put it that way. Not yet. I mean, but he's not in the comics. So there's your wild card right there. I mean, that's where it can go anywhere.
And I think Carol. Like, I don't see the impact of Carol, because I think Carol's kind of come and gone. She's been in and out. I just don't think, like, from the audience perspective, like, I'd be really bummed about Carol getting killed, more so because I just think Melissa McBride is great in that role. Like, the character of Carol, there's nothing endearing. Like, Glenn would really bother me just like it did in the comic. I mean, Glenn, we talked about it at the time, but Glenn getting killed in the comic, like, made me want to not read the comic anymore. And just because I felt like it was egregious and like a stunt. So
maybe it is going to be Glenn, because maybe at this point, he killed his first person. He really crossed the line this episode. and he never did that before. He was innocent in the world. He was pure up until today.
And then part of it is then then we get another like single parent raising an infant thing, and I don't know. I mean, maybe I don't know.
This can go a lot of different ways, and kudos for the writers to keep us guessing, because if they really did a lousy job this season, we would just say, okay, yeah, we know what's going to happen. Just give it a couple episodes. This is going to happen. They'll wrap it up this way. We really don't know.
Yeah, I mean, 4 weeks we'll know, but
right.
but
somebody big is definitely going. I mean, we know that, and maybe it's Melissa McBride. They are wrapping up her arc pretty neatly here. I mean, they really are. I mean, we spent a good chunk of time on this episode just talking about her arc, and I think they're wrapping up those loose threads pretty nicely. So maybe it is her time. I don't know.
I don't think it's going to be Carl.
No, not Carl.
No, not Carl. But I'm gonna appropriate a meme from the Dixon Fixins or whatever, and if they kill Carol, we riot.
Carol, we start baking casseroles.
I don't know, sending a bunch of acorn and beet cookies.
Yeah, the AMC offices will be overwhelmed
Tupperware,
with beet cookies.
That's casserole dishes, right?
No. I don't see Michonne either. Like I don't see it being her, because to me that's just way too on the nose. It's like, oh, every time Rick gets close to a female, it's like or there's a female he has a relationship with. It's like boom, they're gone.
Although I've been shipping Rick and Michonne mentally and publicly for quite a while, but I always said I want them to get together, but then I don't want them to get together, because if they do, that means the end of Michonne. And I really like the character of Michonne. But like you said, then it's too early for that. Maybe they'll let this relationship at least breathe a little bit. Maybe that can be an arc they can wrap up next season or the season after that. I don't know.
And I don't think it's Maggie. We talked about this before too, but I don't think it's Maggie just because of the whole they've done that with Lori thing. Like to me, it just seems like, okay, we've seen the song. We've heard the song before. It just seems way too on the nose. Whether they would have at this point they wouldn't have the baby survive, but it just seems way too on the nose. And then she's like the last of her clan. She's like the Green. They killed off every other one of the Greens, and so to kill her too just seemed kind of egregious. So I don't know.
It's good. I don't know. Keep it coming. I mean, this is every episode is getting better, and that's the way it should be.
This is what I love about the fact that they aren't doing a straight up adaptation of the book. Is that there's so many different ways this could go. I mean, if they were doing just a word for word adaptation of the comics, we know everything that's going on. But just even though we read the comic, we can speculate along with everyone else. It's kind of cool.
Maybe no one gets killed. Maybe someone just gets maimed. I mean, maybe none of the main characters are leaving. Maybe they really throw us for curveball. Who knows?
Or it's a betrayal. Maybe it's not a death.
Maybe he's just trying to get rid of his daughter's Girl Scout cookies. Maybe he just wants to make a softball team. I mean, who knows?
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, maybe it is a betrayal. I mean, maybe people are taking this a little too literally.
Right.
It's not a.
Maybe a death. Maybe betrayal. Maybe Carol joins Negan or something. I mean, something crazy like that. You don't know. Or who knows?
Yeah. I mean, at this point in the comics, Abraham was gone as well, right? I mean, he got taken out.
Yeah. See, we see something brewing with him too. Now he's finally finding love proper, and he has something to live for now. Finally, right? So, right now it could be his time, or maybe Sasha goes. Yeah, and that makes him mental at that point. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. I think too. Andrea exists in the comics, but not in the show. So there's a lot of things that are changed up that could throw off the obvious. But I don't know. It just seems like it's so on the nose that it's Glenn that it just makes me think that it's not.
But if it is, why did they troll us at the beginning of the season with that whole thing where he was gone, he was off the credits? That's what throwing me off. That's the only thing that's throwing me off. Otherwise, I would say, yep, you're right. Glenn's now, like I said, he's tainted now. He's lined up ready to go. But
I would say if I never read the comic and had no knowledge of the comic, I would be like, oh yeah, Glenn's a goner. But there's just something in me that just says they want to deviate from that path. But
I mean, Stephen Yeun is a well-liked character, and I've seen him at the conventions. He gets a huge line. A lot of people love him. I don't know if that plays into the writers' thoughts, and I'm sure it doesn't. But I mean, I don't know if we've seen the end of his arc yet either.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, I was just curious what you guys thought. I thought we hadn't had like a spoilery discussion in a while, so I thought maybe it'd be nice to just kind of veer off the path a bit.
It's going to be a fun ride. I'm really looking forward to the next 4 weeks. I really am. And Flight 462 finally crashing, and then after that we can go into Fear the Walking Dead. So it's a good time if you're a Walking Dead fan.
It'll be the 5-minute podcast. Flight 462 podcast.
We can play them all. I wonder if at the end of this they're going to actually string them all together in one long continuous scene or something.
The website will do that.
Yeah. Okay. And then
I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay.
All right, everybody. We will see you next week. Thanks for listening again, and
take care, guys.
Thanks.